Today on the Coffee Hang, Frank, we have Karen Coughlin. Like, seriously, man, she is every time I see this girl, and I've been on the road with her and toured with her, she's one of the boys. She's also a mom. She takes care of us. She's always smiling. She's always a ray of positivity. I'm telling you, you will. I don't know how much have you've met Karen, right?
I've never met her.
Okay, well, I mean, you're going to feel the same. So let's get right into her little spiel here. You want me to?
Yeah. Bring her on.
You know, or, well, I mean, I could give her bio first.
Oh, no,
you know what else? Let's try something really neat. Here, Frank, I'm going to hold it up and you read.
Karen, I can't read backwards, no.
You read it like this. Karen grew up, she's a Halifax girl. She grew up in the Halifax music industry with her father, Dwayne, owning one of the largest booking and production agencies on the East Coast. I don't know if you knew that, but her family is still tied into that, like so musical. Everybody in that family is musical. Performing it is in her blood. Karen studied acting at Dalhousie University and is a versatile performer with almost 20 years of experience. She is well known across Canada for her work in musical theater, and some of her favorite roles are Belle from Beauty and the Beast, which she went on the cruise ship and did. I'm getting ready for the both of you because you're going to have your cruise ship battles, I know. Also, Patsy in The Closer Walk with Patsy Cline, which would be super cool.
Yeah.
Narrator in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Coat. Sarah in Guys and Dolls. June Carter in A Johnny and June Show. And many, many other productions. She has headlined for several symphonies and worked in most regional theaters across Canada. Karen is currently starring as Anne, like the Anne Freed, part of the rockin' tribute band Always Ava, which I'm playing drums in.
Yeah.
And in addition to performing, she also runs a successful business as a regional vice president with an online health and wellness company called Arbonne, which I'm just going to let you know, Frank, this is an internal plug or an internal, like, where's Waldo? Right here we're going to see if Karen notices it, but there's an Arbonne, there's Arbonne lotion right there. So it's the hidden gnome.
Product placement.
Product placement. And Arbonne's not giving us any money. So
like that coffee cup in the Game of Thrones finale.
Yeah. Unbelievable. That's funny. Anyway, okay, so yeah. And when I mean successful, I mean this girl she's working 7 days a week, 24/7, 365 on this. All of her other roles in businesses, and her most favorite role is as mommy to Jacob and Marcus, her two boys, and Honey. That's, I guess, her husband, Daniel. Super awesome dude. He is a boat builder and repairer. Oh. That's what he does. Right. So you should put a pin in that and ask her about that, Mr. Commodore there. So
Commodore.
Sorry. The Commodores?
Past Commodore. Once. Twice. 3 times. Yeah, bring Karen in to sing it. I'm not going to sing it.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Karen. And let's bring her in here. This is our favorite part. Here we go, Frank. Boom.
Go.
She left.
Oh, there she is.
Karen!
Hello!
You're right on all this tech stuff.
Look at that.
You're saying we love it when we invite people in and we watch them stumble across, like the picture's upside down. The audio is going, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, turn your mute off.
You were on. Like, you were just like, boom.
Clearly you've done Zoom many times.
Yes.
Very
yeah.
Good. Hi, Karen.
Hey, Frank. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Shake your hand,
Yeah.
You got your coffee? Got your coffee handy there?
Yes.
Mommy, what do you got?
You are worthy.
See?
I am worthy.
I'm telling you, ray of sunshine.
You're not worthy.
Where are you at? You're down here. Are you below us?
You're next to me, and
Oh, I'm
Frank's
next to you.
below me.
So I'd have to do this. Is that
Yeah.
cheers to you?
And then Frank can cheers up. I can take a picture of that. Let's take a picture. Although
But
it is.
right now, like for it to be, this is Frank and I, this is us in
Okay,
perfect
so where are
time.
you?
That's us. You're below us. Frank, is she below you?
Yes, but her.
Yes.
Who knows what's recording?
My
though?
perception is different than yours, though. All of
Right.
our perception. So Frank, you go up, and Ed, you go.
I go, where do I
You
go?
go.
I go up.
Try to get
Am I
this.
cheersing properly now?
Do I go down? I go over. I go
You
over.
go. Yeah. Cheers.
This perspective, it's so backwards.
Yeah.
And this is the one we'll see because this is the computer that's recording. But before, when Frank would be trying to cheers, and he'd have to think like, okay, he's going this way, but actually have to go that way. I don't even know how to get down to you over there. If I try to cheers you where you are, I'm gonna pour my coffee on your head.
Wow.
We won't do that. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, so pasta. How are you guys?
Good. Really good.
You
I think.
just started your lava lamp. I can see.
Yeah, about an hour ago. It takes a bit.
Yeah, it does. My son loves the lava lamp as his like new nightlight, but I have to remember to turn it on at like 6 o'clock so that it's it's actually.
Need the lava lamp too. Yeah.
So it starts. You got to preheat it.
I do.
You need more power. That's what you need. More power.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Do you like the lava lamp?
I do. Although it makes me paranoid too, so I feel like I have to turn it off. I'm afraid of fire.
Right.
But it is like once it starts to go, it's so it's so
really nice.
mesmerizing.
I love this part the best. Like this part, like when the bubbles come up from here.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
right here. I love that part.
Right?
Jeez.
What?
Product placement.
Oh.
You didn't. I said to Frank before, I'm like, I'm going to put this here and see if she notices it. And the first thing you talked about was the lava lamp right behind it.
That's so subconscious of me to do that, right? So
Yeah, it's supposed to drink this stuff, right?
yeah, you
Hey,
can.
Dom.
It's not going to hurt
Hey,
you.
Dom.
But
You can inject it.
yeah, you could.
Wasn't that?
Although, are people
Really?
asking for like IVs for their coffee these days? Like all the
Oh.
moms homeschooling, like
Well, we
ship out
have,
my coffee and an IV.
we
When
have
they-
pipelines being built now that are going directly into the homes. So it'll go right along your cable line, and you just out of the tap. It'll be right beside your tap. It could be cold or hot coffee brewed.
I'm waiting for. Remember when cars had that automatic seatbelt? You close the door and it.
Oh yeah.
Hated them, but remember
They
that.
were the
Well, I want one where it's just like when you close the door, all of a sudden there's the IV.
Yeah,
You just set the coffee drip, so when you got free drive, just constant flow of coffee. You know.
wow.
get her in, yeah,
For those
Forget
long,
water.
once touring starts again, we're gonna need them. You know?
yeah, yeah.
Forward thinking.
You
So
do need a coffee cup slogan that says like your coffee logo and then says like get her in ya.
get her in.
Yeah.
Get your buzz on. Somebody buzz. You got to get buzz in there somewhere.
Mhm.
You got lipstick happening there on your cup too, or is that
That's
part of the
lipstick.
graphic? Or okay,
It's lipstick.
wouldn't that be brilliant though for for people who wear lipstick? If you had a coffee cup that had it already on there, and then that's where you sipped from.
Right? Although it would only be on the bottom lip, and that would be. I suppose you just have to rub them together.
Weird.
You
I don't
don't
know.
know how lipsticks works, do you?
I do. I have 2 girls, and I get makeup all the time, and they tell me. I mean, it kind of gloops from here and goes up this way. That's how you put it on, right?
Why are there no pictures of you with makeup?
You will never see a picture of me.
We're waiting
Oh, no.
for a long time. I've not seen a picture of you with makeup. You know?
This is now a to-do project for Michelle and I. The next time you pass out on a gig with us, to do.
Wait till my kids get their own social media accounts. There'll be pictures of me all over it, I'm sure.
Right?
Here he is again, snoring.
Yeah, my
Oh,
kids
yeah.
have started taking, like, they steal my phone and run off. And then I've started finding, like, on my YouTube channel, like, random pictures of them, like, just making fart noises and, like,
No. Posting it on your YouTube channel? That is amazing.
I'd, like, delete.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love those kids, man. I got to hang out with your kids.
How old are the kids?
they're 7 and 9. They're 2 boys. They're 22 months apart. All boy, like super active. They are downstairs right now playing Luigi's Mansion. And it's so funny for Ed and I. Like, Ed is like one of my favorite people on the planet. And a couple weeks ago, we were texting back and forth, and they were doing something crazy. What were they in the middle of doing? Like, it was maybe a Nerf gun fight and I was getting shot in the face or something.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Texting Ed and being like, oh, my life. And then he's like, I've got a day spa over here. And he like does like a video, and they're like meditating on their like yoga mats with soft music playing. And I was like, do you want to trade?
That was an old picture.
Oh, man.
I've been there when it's chaos too, though.
Yeah. Oh, hey, listen.
No.
Like Lavender especially, but Maple revs her up too. Maple's the girly of the two, if you want to call that. But she's real sweet and very, very, I'm not saying petite. She's got a tomboyish to her, but she's the girly girl of the two. Lavender, she's a monkey. She's a maniac.
Yeah.
She's a nutcase. She's a boy. She's like, she goes crazy. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I would assume it's similar to. I've only seen, like, we'll be FaceTiming you and I, and all of a sudden from behind you.
Yeah. They are Technicolor. They are.
I'm glad that most of when they were that young, for my kids, Facebook and social media really didn't exist that much. Like they're 25 and 23, girl and boy.
Wow.
So I've got adults.
Yeah.
Well, and it's another thing too with like social media these days, like, because it's adding so much pressure and mental health issues to kids. So yeah, like, I'm glad your kids are a bit older. I'm nervous with my kids having to push through that, because back in the day, bullies used to just be, I was getting made fun of on the school ground.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
It's constant.
You can't. Yeah, I'm so worried about that. But we just have to teach them how to protect themselves and push through.
Sorry, go ahead, Karen.
I was just going to ask, are your kids following your footsteps as an artist?
My kids?
Yeah, or as an entrepreneur as well?
They both have been in music, and they both got jaded at an early age. They still both love doing music. They've just put a big pause on trying to do original careers. My daughter had a really great thing going, and the brakes got hit on it. So with my son, and he did so many gigs where he just wasn't being paid, and he knew from a mom and dad saying, no, you have to get paid for this. There's no way of it. So they're doing it more for the love. He's still always writing songs, recording. He lives, it's an attached 2-unit house, and he lives in the back end with his own apartment, so I can hear him when he's recording and stuff like that. So he's still doing it. My daughter still loves it, but they both have jobs outside of it now. So not quite entrepreneurial yet. But you gotta wait till they hit their 50s.
If you look at the Corin family, I mean, they're always doing like, shows together. And I mean, when we did your record, I mean, they all come up and played on your CD release. And, they all, Frank, you had the Corin Christmas.
Corin Christmas about 5 or 6 years running. Yeah, we raised money for Food Bank in Hamilton. Just getting our favorite artists to come up. We particularly enjoyed when we had Elton Lammy perform. That was one of the best ones.
The only time, right?
It was just, we were always raise money, and I always wanted it. Like, it was our name, but we were very quiet about it. And people said, oh, you must love it because you rehearsed all the time. I said, we would rehearse whatever 3 songs we were doing as a family the day of.
Oh my gosh.
It was just so hard to get. And when it comes to music, we're all A personalities. Like, each of us wants the control. Like, my wife's a singer-songwriter. People say, well, you must love writing with your wife. She writes a song. She usually writes the guitar solo for me and all the guitar parts. I just play them. Right?
Smile and nod.
That way. So rehearsal is like, get it done in half an hour, or the fights are going to start happening.
Yeah.
But once we perform, it's amazing. So we really enjoy it.
So funny. I love that. I am a Christmas nut. And in fact, we have back from, probably the year 2000 and 2004, the Coughlin family Christmas CDs, volume 1 and 2.
Oh,
and 2? I have 1. I don't have 2 yet. Where do I get that?
Oh my gosh.
HL.
Right?
The Walmart 2-for-1 bin.
So we read in your bio before you came on, like, we introed you with your bio and stuff, and one thing that pops out that you were just talking about right now is that, like, your family owned like an entertainment and booking agency, like one of the largest ones in the East Coast, right? So was
Yeah.
your whole family, like, is everybody in your family musical then?
So yes and no. So both of my parents are from PEI. So I'm half Gallant. So I'm related to half of Prince Edward Island,
Okay.
and Coughlin. And my dad played in a band called the Tremtones, which was like this big band in PEI. But they moved to Halifax. So all my dad's
Karen, what do you mean by big band? Like, was it a big band?
yeah, it
Or
actually
just
was like
large-
a 15 piece, and they were like super famous on PEI. Like
or
back.
was it like swing, like big band swing?
No, it was
Or-
like rock and roll.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah, rock and roll, but like they just had like a ton of members, like an amazing players. And all my dad's family, all very musical. Like we loved going to parties because like we were the band. You know, of course, every wedding was at the Legion. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then when my parents moved to Nova Scotia, my dad was actually going to go to med school, but he was booking his band, and he was so busy that other bands kept on saying, you should book me. And it just evolved into him growing a business called Agency 2000. So if there's any like musicians who played on the East Coast in like the 80s and 90s, chances are my dad brought you in, because at one point there was like 8 agents working for it.
Did he book the Misty Moon?
Yes. Yeah.
So I probably met your dad then.
Yeah.
Really drunk. I think one of the agents took us out to Port Dalhousie to happy hour at the
Yeah.
at the Dalhousie Ballet, you know, that kind of stuff. So
Nice. Yeah, the Misty Moon, the Palace, like all those places. And then my dad and his best friend, my dad's passed now. It's been 6 years. I miss him so much. But his best friend is an incredible man named Russ Brennan, who owned all the music stops. Cheers to our dads.
yes.
And they opened a production company. So then they were doing, you know, everything. And growing up, there was, because my dad had such a big heart, there was always a rock band living in my basement. Always. Because we also had a recording studio in the house. So the band would be there recording their album, maybe in between tours.
Yeah.
And they were just always living with us. So I grew up in the music industry, living with the musicians.
Wow. And you're still in the music industry. That's amazing.
Right.
There's 2 girls, right? You and your sister.
Mm-hmm.
You have one other sister, and that's it, right?
Yeah, and she's a quiet singer. Like she can sing, but she won't. Like she's so nervous,
Really?
but she's so good, so talented. But she like it is in her, but she fights it, and she wants like a job. Like she can't handle the like not knowing when the next gig is, or entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, in today's day and age, I don't blame her.
Yeah.
It's a little scarce there, but
It's
what about
2021 somewhere is the next gig.
Right.
We have some. We do have an offer on the table. I'm not going to talk a lot of it, but we have some drive-in thing in August being pitched somewhere. Music's about.
But I want to be involved with that because it is different, and I would love
It's different.
to just see what that vibe is going to be like. It would be one for the books where you're like, well, I've done that gig too. You know, it's just.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool.
My yes to that is because of the band that's playing. Like it's to play with Ed and Waylon and Elton is like.
Yeah.
I mean that's just worth getting on stage to do.
Yeah, it fills your cup even to just be around those people, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, as artists, we have to find ways to pivot enough. Not that this will be our forever pivot, but to keep us relevant, you know, and in the front of people's minds that they're like, oh, you know, they adjusted in the times, and, you know, they're the ones that I'm going to think of for the next shows. But it's a scary time right now being an artist. So what a smart time for you two to start a business.
It's people
You know-
thought we were the people that didn't know us from the music side thought you're launching in the start of a pandemic essentially. And we
Yeah.
like, well,
I mean, if you think about that, we launched April 2nd, and we've told this story 100 times already, but you know, for the year prior, well, you know, Karen, because I talked to you about coffee all the time when we were on the road. I mean, we had planned on launching April 2nd way before we even heard of any virus. I mean, a year before we heard of any virus. So we were launching that day anyway. And then March 13th being like the Friday the 13th, the D-Day, when the schools, you know, when that really hit the fan. That's when we looked at each other and were like, well, do we still do this? Like, well, we're an online business anyway, and people are going to want and need coffee.
Yeah.
Why would we wait?
And the
you know?
IVs to put it in, like you just miss that. You just
That's right. Well, the IVs are being used elsewhere. We can't be taking.
Well, we sell IVs on like used IVs online on our store.
yeah, just go to your eBay account for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have to say it has been so first of all, like Frank, I can't wait to get to know you better, but I just want to say something about Ed. And it's interesting because this popped into my mind when we, cheers to our dads. Our first gig ever playing together, we kind of rehearsed, but we were kind of getting to know the music more than we were getting to know each other. We went down to do a show. We were there for 5 days. And did you remember that first day? We all started drinking.
It was Iowa.
Iowa, yes, the most amazing, awesome place. And within 15 minutes, Ed, myself, and Nick Chernogorski were, well, maybe not Nick, but he was on the first. He was. I just didn't want to embarrass him here in public, but yes, he was. Within 15 minutes, the three of us were crying about like all of our fathers passed, right around the same time,
Very
and we
similar,
were broken. And you're just the biggest teddy bear. And I just wanted to also say, like, for the past couple of years, watching you step into your greatness and evolving as an entrepreneur and taking a little tiny seed and growing it and brainstorming with you, it's been so beautiful and exciting to watch you and Frank flourish with this incredible product.
Thanks, buddy.
Well,
I love you, man. You're awesome.
I love you.
Frank, what did I say? What did I say before she came on?
She was nasty, like,
yeah,
gonna be trouble.
Just
not gonna have her tech right.
Anchor store. Ray of sunshine, I said.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic.
Special you.
Aww.
Hey, can I ask you, I just want to get your opinion of your story on the COVID-19 thing, how that affected you. I mean, I know obviously the music side, but what about your business, the Arbonne business? Like how's that affected you? What change have you noticed?
Well, it interestingly enough, I mean, like your business, it is an online business, most of my business has been built through one-on-one coffee dates. But now it's all done online. But honestly, most of it kind of was done online anyway, because we were sort of moving into a society of people that didn't really go out a ton, which after this COVID, I hope we've all gotten the kick in the butt where we realize we need more touch connection with people.
Yeah.
And honestly, my business has grown. I feel sad to say that because I know so many people are suffering, but the fact is people are, just as much as they need coffee, people are needing protein shakes and energy drinks and skincare, and they're bathing their bodies, and we have safe products that have no animal cruelty that give results. And I'm a maritimer. I know how to get people deals, so I hook them up with specials. And so product selling wise, I'm finding people are definitely shopping online, but also a lot of people are looking for a different way to bring in some extra income. So I'm actually bringing in a lot more business partners who want to be brand ambassadors like me and generate some income just to be able to sleep better at night, knowing that there is something else coming in,
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, we were just having that conversation because with the emergency relief benefit, we all had it, but that's right now a limited time only.
Yeah.
And
you build your lifestyle based on the income that you're used to.
Well, exactly.
And for people like, you guys, I'm sure, $2,000, although it's everyone's grateful for it, that's not what your lifestyle was based on. So that's
that one for me is gone in the first week, just on all the things that it has to do.
Excuse me.
It's just, it's just, that's pretty scary when that goes that fast, and so it's still welcome. I rather have it than not.
Yeah.
One thing that saved me is that with our 2-car family, I'm not playing gigs, so that one car has not moved.
Yeah.
Literally has not moved. I had to start it up the other day to make sure it still ran.
Oh yeah. Mine, when I turned my wheels, it was making all these sounds. Like it was like.
We're saving on the fuel there. We're saving on any sort of cost there. So I kind of it's still not where it should be, but better than nothing for sure. You know.
So it's funny, I saw like a meme on Facebook or whatever, and people are saying, entertainment, like budget. So entertainment, 0, gas, 0, like all these things, 0, 0. And then it was like food, $5,000.
It's all the party snacks, extra wine, champagne.
My grocery bills are like crazy right now.
Yeah. We've gotten out of control.
Think of how many times you grab lunch or breakfast somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
The things are when you're on the road, it's road, whatever road food you're getting.
Totally.
Yeah.
So think of like, King and Bay or any downtown place. Yeah. Those people are getting breakfast bagels and then lunch food.
Oh yeah.
Their grocery is only for their nighttime and weekend stuff, or maybe a few Lunchables.
Hey man, I can't collect a receipt. I'm buying stuff and I'm like, oh, do I keep?
Yeah.
Nope.
I can't claim that because I ain't working. It's different if it's for the coffee company, sure. But
yeah.
I mean, like I filled up our van the other day at Costco, like Costco gas station. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take receipt. No receipt. Do anything with it.
Well, maybe you just drive around to do all your business calls, right?
Yeah.
Can we do that, like this taxation thing, like off the air?
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll do a separate Zoom meeting for that one.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
We won't record.
You can't if you're listening,
You know what's crazy is that, like, both Daniel and I are entrepreneurs. My husband owns his own business as well. I'll give him a little plug too because he's such an awesome.
I already did too. And
did you? Yeah.
I'm sure you and Frank need to talk about that because Frank is a salesman. He's a salesman.
So he builds boats. What kind of boats does he build?
So he fixes and repairs all kinds of inflatable boats and even fiberglass boats. So he was for a while custom making Bruckman yachts, which are like gorgeous, like $1 million yachts. But then he branched off from there and he sells and repairs inflatable boats, and actually he's designed them. So after years of fixing all brands, he flew over to find a manufacturer that he loved, and all the things that he was constantly having to repair on boats, he was like, I don't want that. So he's designed a boat that is literally all his favorite things from different brands put into one brand called Great Lakes. Great Lakes is appropriate for here.
So is it more like Zodiac style boats then?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, but there's some with even consoles, so they're like you sit on the steering wheel. So boats anywhere from $1,000 for a little roll-up burrito type boat to the console boats that are to $20,000. So it's and everything in between. I've even tried to get him to start doing those inflatable yoga mats because I'm working with so many yogis. He's a bit hesitant on that, but I'm like, come on.
This is a side project. Well, I'll have to keep him in mind. I mean, not this year with our sailing club, but we do our one of our race boats. That our marker boat is an old aluminum fishing boat essentially.
Yeah.
Giant rowboat with an outboard. So we've always talked about getting a Zodiac style boat.
Yeah.
Now that we know there's one built here locally.
Yeah, and he will hook you up. He's kind of the go-to guy for all repairs and stuff around here. Mellow Craft is the name of him. So you've always been a sailor?
I did a tour in 2012 where I was out east with an Australian artist, and by the time I got to Boston, I had this image of, and I'd be doing a lot of driving where they'd be it was 2 girls and myself in this 19-foot road truck, and they would be in the back sleeping or doing work. And I'd just be by myself thinking, oh man, I'd love to have a sailboat, because my cousin has a slip. My background's Croatian. He has a slip on the Adriatic.
Wow.
I better learn how to sail though. But by the time I got to Boston, so I went and looked up stuff, and I belong to a cooperative club. So the club owns the boats. There's 16-foot albacores,
Okay.
2-person sailboat, racing sailboat. So I joined, and my wife joined halfway through the year after, and we both have become like, can sail a boat.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
I haven't done a lot in the last couple of years. I've been so busy. Like so I stepped down from being a skipper because you have to teach once a week. So
Yeah.
part of getting the right to take out a boat anytime you want is you have to show up once a week to teach. So between teaching music Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, and then gigs Thursday through Sunday, it was hard for me to commit to that. So
What's the sail club that you're part of?
Hamilton Bay Sailing Club.
Awesome.
Right down there. Yeah, great cooperative club. They are sailing this year. They got the go ahead. It's just so Kim and I actually might re-sail this year because they're only allowing families right now. Like so, if you're within the same household, you can sail a boat.
Yeah.
Because you cannot social distance on a boat.
No.
Stuff going down. You got to be like in each other's face sometimes. So
yeah,
so we actually may get out a couple times this year. Which is exciting.
Awesome. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Daniel and I actually met. I used to work the information lighthouse at the boat show, the Toronto Boat Show.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you ever remember seeing those little lighthouses, I was one of the girls in the lighthouse.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I went to about maybe three or four of them because I was Commodore for a couple of years at the club.
Cool.
So I would, we get the free passes as the executive committee to go to to these things.
Yeah.
They were great. I used to love, you take your shoes off and you go on those like $2 million sailboats that are 40
so
bucks.
crazy.
Oh, that's
my father-in-law. He's retired now, but he used to be the director of operations for Harbourfront in Toronto, and so he used to. He'd have to go for research, but they would charter like catamaran sailboats down in the Caribbean.
Oh, horrible.
Oh, I know, right? He'd have to like research every year. And I think they still do them now from Harbourfront. So if anybody wants to go, but like it would be like 4 families that would go together and just. It's like the ultimate experience because you have your own captain you're like, let's drop anchor. Oh, let's go to this island today. Like
yeah. Well, Kim and I were at the boat show the one time we met. I can't think of his name now. He was a Canadian sailor, sailed around the world twice solo. So he was part of a group that would take you from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, to the Azores.
Wow.
8 to 10 day sail.
What?
And there was a certain cost to it, and we were working because it was I think our 20th anniversary was coming up. So we were like looking at the cost and we couldn't afford it. But he said, oh, you're a musician. So if you perform in Lunenburg before we go, and then when you get to Azores and perform, and it was kind of working out. And then there was the issues of flights back from the Azores, like the cost of that. We just couldn't get it done. It was one of those things we couldn't
Do you remember roughly what
it was? Well, so for the two of us, it was originally $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
I think each, and we got it down to $1,500 each, so $3,000 for the two of us to do this. It would be
not bad though.
She wasn't 100%. I was the one more daring to go out. Like she's like, I'm not sure if I want to go in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean in a 60-foot sailboat. that's a really small boat in the middle of that ocean.
Right. Well, even like my father-in-law, they've got a big like 35-foot Silverton yacht. Yeah. It's a big boat, and Lake Simcoe. You hit some waves.
Oh yeah.
So I can't imagine being on even double-sized sailboat, quadruple-sized waves.
Yeah, exactly. And you've been on. So I was going to bring this was where I was heading with boats. Is you've done cruise ship?
I have. Yeah. Have you worked on cruise ships?
Yes. So here comes Ed. So every time I bring that conversation up, what you just saw was the limo window. You know how you can, when the limo driver is going, hey, yeah. So what do you
What are you guys doing tonight? Where are you partying tonight? Hey.
So I had the bad habit. Kim and I were on we were with Carnival. So the first contract, and it was a great contract. So I'd be always, hey, Ed, I'd be like FaceTiming from Costa Maya or someplace on a beach so they didn't want to hear it.
Not happy.
The fact that there's 2 of us that have done cruise ships. We win this conversation. So you worked with, I think, Disney is what.
With Disney, yeah. So I got to be a real princess, which makes a big deal, I'm sure, to Ed's children. My kids could care less. Yeah. But
Karen, do you have a picture of you and Belle?
Yeah, I have a picture with me and like the 10-foot beast next to me. And it's funny because I'm obsessed with cruising, and I've even with Drayton Entertainment, which is like one of the best theater companies in Canada, and I've worked tons with them. I love them. They do some cruises where they bring on their artists to just go on and entertain their guests so they charter out the cruise lines or whatever. So I've been on like Holland America, Celebrity, like I've been on Royal, every cruise line. And in fact, my husband and I, it's our 10-year wedding anniversary in 4 days.
Whoa.
And we had booked for this October a 10-day Mediterranean cruise. And now we're like out of Italy, like, and they're like, it's still on. Do you want to go? And we're a bit like, they're expecting a second wave of
on.
Do I want to go to like kind of where things went really crazy in Italy, but do they have that herd protection over there? Do I want to be on a cruise ship, which seemed to be like this breeding ground for
kind of a fast. Yeah.
Well, they had, I mean, the two cruise ships, the three cruise ships that had trouble, one was out of Japan, one was Australian that had come from Asia, and the other one was the one that docked, I think, in San Francisco, and I think it had come across the Pacific. So they were coming from the source, as far as we know, of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Not all cruise ships were being affected. Mostly, they usually get the GI is what they usually get. The Astro is when that goes through the ship.
Yeah, that's when you get quarantined in your room. Norok.
The Norok virus. Yeah. So those are, we were, you did probably all that, you feel any of this, let us know, because you got about an hour window to like,
right.
Stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But we loved it as well. And we're not going to drag this cruise ship conversation out, but it was.
Oh, no, don't worry. I'll guide you out of it. If I'm bored, I can't handle much more of this.
I have told Michelle, I have told Truman, which probably everybody watching this knows Truman. I don't know anybody who doesn't know Truman.
Right. Yeah.
I am like, girl, book always ABBA on a cruise ship as a guest entertainment. And like, I will give a little plug for Always ABBA because it's Michelle's band and I just happen to be part of it. But like, ABBA music is great, but like every individual player in Always ABBA brings this extra flair. Like you need to hear ABBA the way that Ed plays drums on it. Like it is like, they're so rockin', and I just get to be part of it. But
you hear ABBA when Frank plays guitar in it.
I'm glad you said that because I was about to say that, and I'm like, I would have got in trouble, but I'm glad you said it. So.
I know, we've talked. I know we do the Country Legends tribute tour, and I know there's been conversations with, I think Norwegian because Norwegian has been bringing on like Epic Journey, a couple of Eagle shows. They're doing more of the tribute shows in the theaters. And it's a decent. It's not the best pay, I think, for this. I think you do 3 shows over the 7 days. But
better than anything right now.
You're getting the full cruise with it as well, and you're not port manning. You're staying in guest cabins.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what it was like for you. Were you in a crew cabin?
I was in a crew cabin, but it was my own room. Like it was.
We had the thing. We were staff. We had a bit. We didn't have the shared bathrooms and all that. And so there's different tiers of. I think we were considered staff.
We were considered first, not first officers, that's like the guy in the bridge, but like we were considered some sort of an officer. Like if we were to wear whites or something, they would have something. I don't know.
You'd have one of the chevrons on your arm or something like that.
Right. It was crazy though with Disney though, no matter where you were on the ship, no matter if there was no children around, you were never allowed to break the illusion or the magic. So I would be in an elevator with 3 grown adults being like, oh my gosh, are you Belle? And I'd be like, no, Belle is Belle, but I am her best friend.
Oh, I know. I know the protocol, even when you're on the beach in a port.
Yes.
And someone comes, like, you have to watch your P's and Q's because they're like, oh, that country duo, they were sitting there. And
like the Disney point, the bathrooms are that way.
Oh, it's always that? It's like an airline tourist.
Yeah, or that.
Don't you dare do that.
Don't you do that.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking for the cafeteria.
Yeah.
I know. See, but you guys didn't have we had what was called Just Ask. So when you had port manning duties, which on one, anyways, you can't get off the ship. So when they're all coming on, you have to sit there and they're like, where's the buffet at? Where's the food at? Where's the drinks at? And you're like, and I would be using sign language. And like we were told, no, you have to tell them. I said, we're not being paid for this. And we have to then perform for 4 hours tonight. So I'm not going to talk extra.
Yeah.
I'm going to save and some of ours were in the Smoky Casino too.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you moving away from the cruise thing now?
Where were you? I would like to hear from you your musical background.
Musical?
Where like, well, even theater, like just your career, like your musical background career.
Well, it all started. Yeah. So being my dad, being in the entertainment industry, he wanted me to have nothing to do with it, basically. So it was just like, please don't, please don't. So even though I always sang, I actually went to university and started to study psychology. And then I just couldn't get the bug out of me. I was working at a dinner theater, Halifax Feast Dinner Theater, decided to switch over to the acting program. So I'm actually classically trained as an actor, like straight theater, but then I still love music. So I was doing a lot of musical theater. So that's my sort of soft spot is musical theater. But in doing musical theater, I've been really lucky to do a lot of review shows, like Patsy Cline review show. And in fact, I'm one of the few Canadians who actually is approved by Charlie Dick, her husband, to portray Patsy. Like I had to send him a demo reel and he had to approve me to do A Closer Walk with Patsy Cline.
Oh, wow.
And lots of other like rock and roll review shows. Like I love actually diving in, doing a musical theater review show where I learned Patsy Cline phonetically because she sings a certain way, so you almost had to learn it. And when you're being somebody else, you guys know as tribute artists, when you're being somebody else, you have to pay homage to that person and take it very, very seriously.
Yeah.
I say that with my students, like just as a drummer, if you want to play, I'm not even a tribute world, but if you just want to play this cover or whatever, wear that drummer's hat.
Yeah.
Literally take that hat off and wear it and think about what their influences were, where they came from, and then you'll understand why they play the way they play.
Well, and I think you can go two ways, like always pay homage to the person, but like with certain shows, like I also do a Johnny Cash and June Carter show, and like we are being those people. So I am trying to embody, June Carter, but then something like Always ABBA, where we're singing the music of ABBA, but we're still, we're implying them, but we're still doing ourselves, and it's we're not pretending we're them.
Yeah, a guitar instructor that was in the music program I went to, Bobby Caron's heavy jazz guitarist. And I was in the first year, I got to play drums in his guitar ensemble. And it was one of the most educational experiences I've ever had in my life. Just as the drummer of the band that backed up all the other guitar students.
Yeah.
Listen to him just talk. And the one thing I remember, the only thing I remember, it was a good time, was him saying in jazz too, especially in the improvisation world, is pay homage to the tune, the melody, the composer, the arranger, whatever. Pay homage to it, give it its due respect, and then from that point you can add your own flavor to it. Not the other way around. So even though we're playing ABBA with but we're still paying respect to the original tunes, but we're all adding our own flavor. I think that's the way to do it, not the other way around.
And you're bringing ABBA, and I'm sure seeing ABBA live now would probably be a bit more oomph as well than the 70s production show of an ABBA show.
Yeah.
Right?
Even if you watch those 70s shows and you see some of the more recent performances, they're bigger sounding than So everyone adjusts, that kind of stuff.
They've only done, was it you telling me this, Karen, that they only played 2 tours? Or was it, when we were playing that gig in Wasaga Beach, maybe it was Stan Michek that was telling me that, because he did all this research for
ABBA. He's such a big player, isn't he?
Yeah.
Stan?
Yeah, he's so
horrible.
He's so terrible.
We'll get into that next. We'll go straight into that. You put a pin in that bad boy. But he did some research, and he said there was only 2 major tours. The rest of they never toured.
Yeah, they went to Beatles, not a lot of touring. After their Beatles did all their touring.
Well, that was back in the day when people were buying records, and the sandwich meat was actually the music, and now for artists, the sandwich meat is gone. One of my good friends, she's a business partner of mine in Arbonne, Amy Sky, her and her husband Mark Jordan talk about how all their sandwich meat is out of their sandwiches.
Yeah.
So with the digital world, so now you have to do a lot more touring to create your own sandwich meat instead of just recording and releasing an album. And then the merch is.
And now you can't do any of that. You can't sell merch. I mean, you can sell merch, but it's hard to sell merch when you're not touring. And now you can't tour. We got to wait till that's that 500 plus again. I've brought this up many times. So they say 500 plus people can go, and then we can get going. But in the intro, just part of your musical thing, Ed mentioned you did the narrator for Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. Where was that at?
That was at the Grand in London, Ontario, one of
awesome.
my favorite theaters in Canada to work at.
Thanks. I bring that up because my wife did the narrator for a Theatre Ancaster production of Joseph back 2004 or something like that.
Oh, awesome. It's funny
Yeah.
because I was like, oh yeah, when they offered it to me, I was like, sure. And I was newly pregnant at the time. So I told the director, I said, I want to be honest with you, I'm pregnant. So by the time the show comes, I'll be anywhere from, because it was a 3-month run. I was like, I'll be up to 7.5 months pregnant by the time the show ends. And she was like, you know what? I actually think it'd be great because the narrator is kind of, she's a mother type figure to these children. Yeah. And it was the hardest sing I have ever, and I've done some hard roles, hard roles singing wise, like Aldonza in Men of La Mancha, hard sing, like hard singing. This was so hard. And we had a lot of 11 o'clock matinees.
And you're pregnant.
And I'm pregnant. And you don't quite know what's going to happen. You just get breathy. And I remember, our music director, Ryan D'Souza, who's also an MD with Shaw Festival and just amazing human being. And he was like, Karen, you can mix it today or you can mark it. Don't worry. It's just a high school matinee. And I was like, no, I have to do this full out as good as I would do it if the mayor is in the audience right now for every pregnant woman that wants to ever perform while they're pregnant. Because if I call this in, they will never cast another pregnant woman to still perform when she's 7.5 months pregnant.
Exactly. It's a role that a lot of theater companies get 2 or 3 narrators to sing it because it's a lot of you're singing and you're up there for a lot of the show. So it's so I remember that was the same thing when Kim did it. The review was like, this is normally done with at least 2 singers.
Yeah.
For a lot of production companies.
8 shows a week whilst pregnant. Yeah. I did have an understudy, but she didn't go on. And in addition to that, I actually named my child who was in my belly Jacob because I was like, Jacob! He used to kick so much during the opening number. I just was like, I just felt connected to it. I was like, I think his name is Jacob.
That's amazing. That's very cool. That's now I know that forever.
Right?
Especially when you get mad at him. Jacob!
Singing on an E. Jacob!
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, and also my other son, Marcus, I was like, I've always loved the name Marcus. I don't quite know, why. And then it dawned on me when he was about 2. Oh, wait, one of my favorite beasts that I ever played opposite, his name is Marcus as well. I think I maybe subconsciously named him.
Disney
cool.
People.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, another question. This is good outside of music. So we know about your entrepreneur stuff outside of music. What else do you do outside of music? Passions?
Ooh, I love to bake. I actually, I'm a great baker. I think as people, we are either cooks or bakers. Rarely do you find somebody who is good at both. Well, maybe Ed is good at everything.
Oh, not me.
Oh, really?
My wife.
Well, there you go.
She's an amazing chef and she teaches foods, but she also just put in her application in for the Great Canadian Baking Show. So do you know about this Great Canadian Baking Show yet, Karen?
Well, I've seen some of it, yeah.
So Maple and Jill, Maple being my 10-year-old daughter, the two of them, they watched that thing from front to back. There's 3 seasons. And so she decided to actually put an application in. So she's
awesome.
She did video and all that stuff. Yeah, she put an application. But if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's actually quite.
My kids are a bit obsessed with Nailed It right now. They think it's hilarious. That's a giant baking fail show.
Yeah.
But I find with cooks, cooking is an art. People add a dash of this, add a dash of that. Where baking is a science. I'm a rule follower. I some people even on stage would find me boring because I believe in doing the same thing every night and just to keep it straight. I will move to this section, something else might move me and inspire me. And I do take a little bit more freedom with music than I do theater, but for theater especially, so that is baking to me. Quarter cup, half a cup, teaspoon.
One of the every episode there are 3 challenges in this show.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges is they just get the instructions, vague instructions. They may not have ever made this dessert ever in their life. And they just have to read the instructions and they have to make it. So to see how it comes out of the ovens, looking like, and they'll show you, like the audience gets to see what the outcome should look like.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like to do it blindfolded, basically.
Yeah.
And just like you said, follow those instructions to a T.
Yeah.
Hopefully you should get the outcome that everybody else did, right?
And making changes, because like we said, it's a science. So I was trying to make a pretty tasty tiramisu, but I'm trying to get the firmness. So I have a great recipe, but I'm substituting the sugar because my wife does very little sugars and wheat and that. So I'm substituting the sugars with a monk fruit sugar, right? So it's, to get the same sweetness, you have to use, you know, if it's a cup of sugar, it's like 1/3 a cup of monk. So now there's less granular stuff to bind the liquid to, so it doesn't firm up the same way. So now do I have to add like guar gum or something in there to adjust?
Try Swerve. Swerve is a good natural sugar substitute that is equal. I think.
So equal.
Equal.
Yeah, there's a few out there. We just happen to have, when I was doing this, it's all the monk fruit. So I'm not gonna, you know, I'll just try it with this. So my first one was a lot more, still tasted fantastic. So second one, and I think you had part of my second one that I brought you, and it was, I also, instead of ladyfingers, I made keto ladyfingers.
Ooh.
So there's almond flour and some egg and stuff like that, and still tasted.
It was fantastic.
I do a lot of times with Arbonne, I'm leading these 30-day healthy living challenges, which is basically like an elimination diet to detoxify.
Yeah.
You know, so probably, Frank, a lot like what your wife is doing, like no wheat, no yeast, no gluten, no dairy, all that stuff, no sugar, you know, no alcohol, all the good stuff. No life, yeah. But you just reset for 3 days. But anyway, so I'm trying to make those foods for me, and I just like to juxtapose that with making like homemade Portuguese donuts.
Oh, yeah.
like full fat, like deep fried food for my kids. Like, yeah. And
you need to have the good side of it, you know.
It is, yeah. And the other thing I do want to say, because Ed probably made fun of me a lot, but because I'm like, whatever. I know there's a thing with like tenders, and the other thing about me that a lot of people don't know is that you can take the girl out of the Maritimes, but you can't take the Maritimer out of the girl. And I got a motorhome, right? So we like to go camping, and we take the motorhome and we just drive wherever.
Your accent like came out in full when you started talking about motorhomes. Like it just all of a sudden came right out.
Your accent just came out. We drive, you know. My wife's a Halifax. My wife's
motorhomes a Halifax thing? Is that an East Coast thing?
Well, it is like having a trailer or having a camper. Yeah.
Trailer, yeah, okay.
Although you grow up like on the water, unless you're like uber rich, nobody really has a boat. Like I had one friend who had like a sailboat in Nova Scotia, but everyone went camping. So your wife, Frank, is from the East Coast?
She was, her whole family's from the East Coast, but she was born in Dundas in Hamilton. But awesome. She'll slip to like, just from growing up hearing it, she'll slip to like maritime Caledonian accents.
What's the trigger word for her?
Sure. Oh, sure, as opposed to sure.
We have a really bad, in the East Coast, we have a really bad, they call it the rhotic R. Like it's very R, like my car won't start. It's very hard R.
Yeah.
So when I was in theater school, they were like, you need to get rid of that.
It's that Scottish and Irish background.
Yeah. So in motor, it's the R in motor that gets you.
Yeah.
Can you say that motorhome again?
Motorhome.
Yeah, sure. No, but you said when you got excited, it was a drive.
Yeah.
However you said drive was.
Well, it's funny because people made fun of us when we bought this motorhome. You know, Ed was like, "Sweet, we could take the party bus to our next gig." But now, with the way the world is changing, like travel by airplane is going to be a luxury that most people aren't going to be able to afford, and people are going to be like,
or want to do.
Can I come with you in your motorhome?
Yeah.
And we were actually in Florida Keys. We took our motorhome and we took one of Daniel's like 12-foot boats, and we were just boating and snorkeling around the Florida Keys when COVID was happening. And then what ended up happening, we felt really safe because we were like, we are completely isolated. We haven't been around anybody at all. Mm-hmm. But one day we were snorkeling and just like 3 feet of water. And I was like, oh, I think that's a stink. It's a shark. Get in the boat. But the shark wanted nothing to do with us. As soon as it got within 12 feet of us, it was like, oh, and he swam the other way. And then the next day, my son got stung by an upside down jellyfish, which just
Come
makes
on.
just makes you itchy.
Is
But
that right?
I was like, the likelihood of my two boys having to go to an emergency room is really high. I think we should drive back to Canada now. But when you decide, okay, shit's getting real, we got to get to Canada, they're closing the border now,
Yeah.
like, you know, whatever. Like, we knew we'd be allowed in. But by motorhome from the Florida Keys, even though we were doing 12-hour drives, it was 3 days because you were only going like 80 kilometers an hour in a
Sure,
motorhome.
sure. So what was how much time did you have left before they were going to close the borders? I'm just trying to.
Well, they closed the borders are still closed, but if you're Canadian, they're never going to turn you away.
Yeah.
You would be turned away if you were going into a different province. So if you were from Ontario and you try to get into Alberta, say to Montana, they'd say no, go through the U.S. and get to an Ontario border.
Oh yeah.
You have to go into the province that you're registered in,
Right.
driver's license is registered in.
Right.
So that's where they will turn you away, but the border will be open for you. That's pretty crazy. But
Yeah, crazy
I
time.
didn't know you were that far away from home when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be near Canadian medical in
Yeah.
case, you know, you want your sort of what you know and what's safe and stuff like that.
So where are the Canadian trips this summer with the motorhome?
Are we even allowed to leave the province? I don't know.
They're going to start to release like inter-province.
I'm just
trans-
with
like,
everything
for
that happened
summer.
in New Brunswick, like just a little while ago with that doctor. Did you guys hear about that?
Fill us in, please.
Yeah, a doctor. He's from New Brunswick. I don't know where he went, but he went somewhere on the Quebec border. But it was like he lived like very close to the border. Could have been his girlfriend. Could have been, I don't know, his cottage. But he's now infected people with COVID. Up to 150 people have been exposed.
Okay.
And because he didn't self-isolate for 2 weeks after he got back from another province. So yeah, so there is this whole, now will they open the borders to other provinces? Because look what happened.
Yeah.
But then, you'll have the rule of self-isolating, but that's still dependent on people doing that. I mean, my wife works in retail as well, in a grocery store. And there was a lot of people 2 weeks in who were coming back in from the holidays that were coming out shopping with full tans. Like, you didn't get that tan 3 weeks ago. That's something, you were in the sun yesterday.
Yeah, and it's just not necessary nowadays with being able to get your groceries delivered.
It's
Like,
hard.
why are
It's hard. Trust me. You know that I do the grocery delivery thing, like Walmart pickup thing, right? Well, that's try to get a time slot there. Forget about
it's
it.
much better now. Both Fortinos and Walmart. It used to be like 2 weeks in advance. Now it's like next day. They've really stepped up.
They stepped up because they was designed, I mean, at least for Loblaws, it was designed for 5% of their grocers was the PC Express.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they had a 60% demand for it. And they were just training people from other departments. So until it caught up to the demand, it was a mess. You know, you were behind by 2 weeks. Now it's running, I think most stores have 10 people on a night shift. All they do is pack.
Wow.
For PC
Yeah, for the next.
And we need to send some extra love to your wife because she is
Absolutely.
keeping us fed. Like,
yeah. She's happy. She's in the garden center right now.
Awesome. Cheers to her.
But people still, I would cheers to her, and of course.
I went to the garden center the other day. It brought me so much joy. It took me over 2 months to go to my first store. I was very afraid, and Daniel was the only one that would go into, because we were doing mostly grocery pickup. Yeah. But Daniel, of course, working with chemicals, he has like a full-blown gas mask if he needs.
Yes.
But I do have a friend in Burlington. I'll give her a plug. She's a small business, Cove. I think it's called The Cove. But they make baby gear. Normally, she makes like custom designed like car seat covers, these really smart tethers if their bottle falls off the table. Anyway, amazing handmade things. But she pivoted really fast to make masks, but not made like your neighbor makes them, but like made with like the metal part for your nose and a folder for like a filter. And just really well made, perfectly fit. And so now that I have a mask from her, I'm like, Daniel, I'm going shopping. He was so impressed. Our credit card bill had gone down so much. And I was like, not anymore. I'm going to go in to get some plants. $200 later, I'm like, I got a few planters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, garden centers can cost, I mean, even for our own garden here, it's like, whoa, what's that bill?
Yeah.
Looking at the monthly expense on the garden, it's like glad it's growing food as well,
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
so that I can offset that cost to get it started.
Yeah.
Right.
Karen, what are you watching these days in your, well, I mean, you're a busy girl. I mean, you're mom of two, you know, the Arbonne business, which keeps you extremely busy just on regular time.
Yeah.
Have you had any downtime? Are you watching anything that's
Yes and no. I mean, the beautiful thing about a business like Arbonne is that I fit it in little half-hour chunks here and there. But honestly, my kids go to bed late, and because it's the busy season for my husband, being like the opening of marinas right now, he's not getting home from work till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, working also on Saturdays. So he wants to spend time with the kids. So my kids are sometimes not going to bed till 9:30 or 10, and I'm about ready to tap out at that point. So we were, you know, we watch a couple of shows on Netflix together, like Ozark was like amazing, but now
with the Ozark, everybody's Ozark.
I haven't seen it yet.
Have you seen it, Frank?
No, I haven't. I know what it's
The
about.
the universe is telling us something, buddy.
the acting is amazing in it.
Yeah.
It's like amazing. The guy who plays her brother deserves to win like an Emmy for his performance. He's so good.
Yeah.
But of course I watched Tiger King, but honestly, like I don't watch a lot. And also I'm trying not, we were obsessed with the news for the first while, and now I'm watching enough news to keep me, you know, informed, but I'm also trying to protect myself. I do think with everything that's going on with the racial issues that's happening right now, and Black lives do matter, that house is on fire and we need to focus on putting out that fire right now. So Black lives do matter. But I'm also trying to just keep myself positive. So I listen to audiobooks a lot.
Yeah, cool.
I always have my earpods in, and I'm trying to fill my head with something positive that lifts me up, because there's so much that is scary and negative, and I want to fill my life and the people around me and my energy with light and love, and I keep things like rose quartz and rose quartz, like the energy rocks. I keep them around me, and I, you know, try to sage the energy around me to keep out the bad, keep in the good.
Yeah, it is. It's
woo-woo, but
no,
yeah, I mean,
not at all.
We did that. We were sort of watching numbers too, and then it's like, you know, I finally got to the point of, I'm not a professional at this. I'm just gonna like stop trying to find, you know, watching the death rates and the infection. They're gonna tell us when it's okay to get out there, and until that point, there's nothing we can do about it except sort of follow some of that protocol. Keep yourself safe. Keep other people safe from me.
We have a Google Home. Do you know what a Google Home thing is?
Oh,
like it's like Alexis or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And anyway, I go in the kitchen every morning, I make the coffee, and I just go, Google, I say, Google, good morning. And it just starts playing, good morning, Ed. And it starts playing the news, and it goes, oh, here's the news from CBC. And it goes through 5 different news sources, CP24, CBC. And it'll repeat the news from the last point. So for instance, if I'm at 8:30 a.m., it'll say, oh, here's the CBC news for 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Here's CP24, blah, blah, blah. And it'll go through the top highlights, right? And that's enough for me. That just gives me the picture of the day, and it's like, I'll see it tomorrow. The rest of the day, we're just going to live our life. I got 2 kids and a wife to worry about, and my own mental health. That is not helping me by, you know, turning it on 5 or 6 times a day, and not going to get anywhere that way, right?
You're just gloomier by the end of the day.
Yeah. You guys lost a friend to COVID too, right?
Yeah, Sean.
Early days, yeah. It's a
early days. Well, March 12th or March like March 10th or
March 18th he died, I think.
It was when that hit, we were all still in everything was up in the air of like, should we close? And we were like, are we taking this seriously? Oh, it's just of this, it's just of that. And then when Sean passed and I read that, oh my God, I just about dropped to the ground. I'm like, what are you talking about?
He didn't do any traveling, right? So you would think, did he meet someone at a gig?
I don't know that part. It's crazy. I don't know that part.
His world is, you know, he lived in Milton, I believe. He gigged in sort of KW, Guelph, Toronto.
He managed a Cal Tire.
Did
something come in through
it
there?
Makes you think, like, how many people do I shake their hand? Like, shaking hands. I mean, shaking hands was designed to show a sign of trust back in the day.
Right.
Right.
basically, it's like that's what scared me the most at that point is like because I don't know how he could have got it, made me go, okay, this is real because it could be anywhere. If my friend, I'm in Mississauga, he's in Milton, which is just right over there.
Yeah.
If our friend can get it, why can't I get it? And that's what made me go, okay, this is serious. Let's hunker down or whatever, you know. But
Did you ever have you taken your girls on a Disney cruise, Ed? Can we talk about that?
Hello, I'm a musician. I can't afford a Disney cruise. Are you out of your mind?
You are a booming entrepreneur now. You're going to be rolling in the dough.
Well, that's what changes. That's where the question changes.
Yes.
Will you plan on taking your kids on a Disney cruise? Yes. When I win the lottery, I am definitely going on Disney. I've heard great things about it. I
took my kids we took for Marcus's 5th birthday a couple years ago. We took them on, and it was neat to see the kids see something that I had lived. But let me tell you, there's a point in the show where on the screen, Tinkerbell puts pixie dust on the cruise ship, and then all of a sudden these pixie lights, like these tiny little lights, just like go this wave through the theater. And like even talking about it, I get goosebumps. Like it's Disney magic. Like you're
doing so well. I mean,
did you get a discount for that?
No.
So Disney has like 4 ships, right? So they really run it like a. I had a friend of mine who's a solo guitar player, singer. He said they run it perfect. They treat their artists really well. Anyways, we won't get into that. I'll just be angry.
And also the
more cruise ship talk. Hold on, let me get both my hands.
So this is the guest talk. But the worst thing about being a guest on a Disney cruise ship, the only bad thing I can say is once you've done Disney, it's really hard to do any other cruise ship. Like the waiters literally cut your kid's steak for you and put the ketchup on the plate with Mickey Mouse ears. Like.
So let me ask you this: would you recommend I go on a different cruise to?
No, save up your money, and you've got 2 little girls. Just save your money and just do one Disney cruise.
What's the top age that it's like, okay, now that's just not going to be the same? What do you think? What do I got with me?
Most of girls, so I think it's different. Like, I don't think even my kids now at 7 and 9, like Marcus is into Marvel, so like their minds were blown with even the Marvel heroes on there. But now the next time we take my kids on a cruise, I would take them more like on a Royal Caribbean where it's more about the bumper cars and the wave rider and things like that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there ever is a max age for Disney, especially if your kids love Disney stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course, right.
I would go on a Disney cruise.
Well,
I go on a Harry Potter cruise. And they have a Harry Potter ship. Then I'm going.
Have you seen the Harry Potter hotel that you can stay at? There's a Harry Potter hotel.
Oh.
Have you seen that, Frank?
Actually, I know.
Well, it's
listen,
like
we have a deal with our kids. We haven't gone to Harry Potter World yet. Anything Harry Potter, because we took them to England 3 times to see different shooting locations and watch some films. We have a pack that when we go to Harry Potter, the park, doesn't matter what age we are, we all have to go. The 4 of us have to be there. Doesn't matter what spouses or they have.
If Frank could take his computer or his device right now and go to his living room, you probably see the biggest Lego.
All the Harry Potter Lego.
All the Harry Potter Lego in their dining room still. It's like I go over to his house. I'm just like,
That's awesome. My
brother. I know they got back into it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say my brother-in-law's like that with Star Wars, so you guys could have like a competition.
You never know.
They're all together. Like I think they're actually glued together on like a table, like at their ping pong table. You can't touch them.
Yeah.
We haven't been that crazy because they took it up. They did all the Harry Potter stuff, and then they got really creative and started doing concerts with all their like putting laser lights and stop action with cameras, and then it all got into boxes. And then I think 2 or 3 Christmases ago when, everybody had a couple days off. It was great watching my now adult kids sitting there and putting and my wife putting all the Harry Potter Lego together.
Oh,
And
so
I don't think there was any
We
pieces.
had a gig. Was that Boxing Day?
Yeah, you came in when you saw like.
Well, we had a gig, and
Yeah.
I come in to pick up Frank, and here is like 3 grown people in their onesies, pajamas, like building Lego, and I'm like, I don't want to go play a show. I want to sit right down right here
Because
and hang out for the rest of the day with
I
these.
think their coffee also had Baileys or something in it too, right? So
Were you guys
A lot of
listening
that
to the
going
Corin family Christmas?
Yeah,
that's right.
actually, we'd listen to yours part 2. Coughlin family Christmas.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I don't have the opportunity usually very often to be in a conversation with 2 entrepreneurs. And Ed, I know that you and I like to pick each other's brains a lot. What is something that you guys as entrepreneurs have learned in the development of this brand for the past couple of years? Is there one thing that you could pass on as a tip?
Everything.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, like if you might not, well, you know this, but we'll tell you anyway. Like we took a bunch of courses and intense courses at the Hamilton Business Center and went into a program too, where we had to develop our own business plan and financials and all that stuff. So we learned that, but then through these courses, we learned social media, we learned income tax, we learned, marketing, advertising, social media. Like, I mean, you put the list, go ahead, make a list. We'll check it off and say, yep, done it, working on it, done it. It's unbelievable. And we're talking, like we said we knew about a year before we launched on April 2nd that we were launching April 2nd, but we've been working on this for more like 2 years. Yeah. So
crazy. Like people think, oh, I have a brilliant idea and I'm going to start a business and it's going to be turnkey.
Yeah.
Just designing the bag. The bag was to get from the beginning of what our bag was going to look like when we were scratching it. And we've got a drop on file of like rough look of a bag to the final product that was about a 5 or 6 month process from finalizing and saying, that's the bag, that's the color, that's everything about it is exactly, with the French, the English on it, English and French on it, all the proper requirements that, organic certification, fair trade certification, Canada regulations, all the different things that had to be on that bag.
Are you finding you're bringing in new flavors? Is that what you call it?
Roast.
Because I know with Arbonne, Health Canada is super slow at giving. Are you finding things are moving through Health Canada fast enough for you?
Well, we were lucky too because our roaster kind of had the already foot in the door with their company of 50 plus years, Frank.
Yes. So, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, like they know some people and kind of move that process along. But yeah, that's a slow process. But to answer your original, go ahead, Frank.
But even developing the roast logo, that's going to be, we have a designer. So we gave her a basic idea. She's going to design. Then we go, okay, can we change? So that in itself will probably be a month-long process by the time you finally settle on, this is how it looks.
But to answer your first question, which was, what did we learn? I think you could agree, Frank, that the number one thing we had to learn was that we have to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the bag, I mean, the bag was late in design. And then, then when we wanted to get it printed, well, guess where it's being printed? China. And guess what happened? Coronavirus. Yeah. So our bag was like not happening. So we had to go with a temporary bag. We had to roll with that punch, and we had to okay, well, train's moving. We have to adapt, and we have to, on the fly. And that's, I think, the number one thing I think I could say out of a blanket statement is that we learned to adjust and adapt and keep the train rolling.
And never compromise on your product, like your product.
Never compromise on your product.
Exactly. And my big thing was, and we both come from, as musicians and sole proprietors as a musician, both being in the music industry for 25 plus years and live, I've seen most things that can possibly happen and go wrong. So we have the coping mechanism for that.
Yeah.
We've never run a corporation as a partnership with all the, government regulations, all the different, and, this is a big different beast that we're looking at. And so learning it has been a huge learning curve, dealing with, how do you react when something doesn't work the way you expect it?
Yeah.
How do you react when we find out, we were supposed to get our bags middle of January, then, well, it's their January New Year, or their Chinese New Year. Oh, but they also have this new virus going around. So that pushes bags into somewhere in April, like we didn't even have a solid date on that. And we're like, well, we need to have, for something we were working with Hamilton Business Center, we need to be selling by a certain date. So we have to have the website running. We need bags to have the website. So it was just learning as you go and be willing, like the adapting part that Ed says, be willing to change as it's coming through. I think that's the only way to
find the good, find the gifts in the adapting too, because there is going to be a gift there. And there's two types of people that are like, oh, the bags aren't right. Or another person who finds the gift and be like, listen, we've got new bags, but we're going to see how this goes. And we get the product sooner. So always be a problem solver. And
exactly.
It is. The product inside the bag is the same. That was never changing, but how you want to present, and that's where you're branding. So we still managed to get the branding out, because we I don't know what inspired it. No, logo stickers were meant to go inside the box with the original bag, and then that was like, oh, that's going to go on this temporary silver bag. And
we didn't plan on that.
5,000 of those.
We didn't plan on having silver bags. We didn't plan on having to put our logo sticker on it. We already had them. So we're like,
well, I have a bag from you that's like a handwritten birthday coffee blend from last year. From our birthday last year, because Ed and I almost share a birthday.
Yeah, well, pretty much.
Better hold on to that.
Right?
Collector's item,
Yeah.
Are you not? You're the 14th.
I'm the 14th. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're older than me.
Shut up.
No, I don't know.
Anyway,
This is where you guys can talk. I'm just going to go over here and walk.
This is where the limo window comes into play for you, Karen.
Yeah.
Frank, I also have a question for you, which might be interesting, because I remember when SARS hit Toronto and how that affected, and it was thankfully just a short amount of time. But if you're talking about playing at the Misty Moon in Halifax, you would have lived through the change in the music industry, because I saw it as, from my parents' perspective, how bars that were booking bands 7 nights a week all of us started to bring in karaoke and DJs, and like my parents, who had like a booming industry, it almost tanked. And so musicians had to pivot. Do you have some experience from back then that you can inspire other musicians and artists now, in addition to starting a business to bring in some extra money?
Well, huge. I mean, I came into music as a Kiss fan, very fast thing. So Kiss fan, then prog rocker in my high school in the 80s. Then in the 80s, Music Police and all that stuff. Got into bands and playing live in 1990 after university. And that was as it started, through the 90s, started going down. By 97, just before my son was born, hooked back up with somebody I knew, and we got into the country world. He was working with a country writer. I knew very little about country music, but for the last 20 years, country music has paid probably 75% of my bills, up until maybe a few years ago, because that still had a circuit that ran similar to the old days of the 6 nights a week. It went to 6 to 5, then a lot of them while I was working, it were 3 nights. But you can still get a decent pay after your Thursday, Friday, Saturday doing country music. And you can do a circuit of about 8 clubs, A rooms with full PA. That's also done what happened in the 90s to rock clubs. It's down to maybe 1 night a week, or to no more music whatsoever, or the club is gone, or it's bringing in, they're just getting worse entertainment because they don't want to pay for the good players. The price has gone down. So I've then, from that transition, has been to tribute shows, classic albums, cruise ships, just where you're now being treated with respect for the most part. And on this side, being on the other side of 50, I can't see going back to, unless I got the right musicians, I can't see playing just a bar gig really ever again, and unless it is with the right players for the right reason, because I just don't want to go revisit that again. I'd rather go to Home Depot or PC Express and work the night shift and fill people's groceries than have to deal with playing for people that are indifferent. I like playing to audiences, much like you, where they've invested with a ticket price to come see the show.
Yeah.
They want to see something, so you're going to give them that quality.
I love that. It's so similar. It's interesting how it's so similar to your coffee business, that the product stays the same and you won't compromise on the quality. You won't compromise on the quality of doing some bar gig with somebody who doesn't care.
Yeah.
But the packaging might change. It might be a tribute show, or it might,
Yeah, I still want to do it. I still love music, but I don't want to have to do it. Take every gig that comes down the pipe. There was one just before this all happened, and I had a 2-week tour out west. I took a gig for a one-night fill-in, and then I was given the list, and there was like 15 new songs to learn, which is not usually a problem, but they were just garbage songs. And I said, do I really want to spend could you get a sub for this for me? And then it happened, and I didn't have to do it. And I don't mind burning that bridge if it comes up right now, but it's just I just can't do that anymore. We're too invested into now with the coffee company. That's more important than taking a bad string of bar gigs. It's not going to, because that's not going to advance anything other than frustration.
No.
So that's what I got over that time. So I did experience that when there was, probably across Canada, there's about 20 to 25 great rock clubs you can play and do 3-nighters at them and get paid well and be treated with respect and have full production, great front of house, hotels, food, much the way we were getting on the tribute shows now. But those days are gone now for that. It's not happening the same way anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So have to adapt,
Karen,
Yeah.
I got questions for you. We're back at you. But that being said, Frank and I were talking earlier that we should do a coffee hang where we are interviewed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think we both agreed we were hoping that you would be the interviewer. We talked about this, right? I mentioned that she'd be a great interviewer.
But I've noticed this is, I think, our third female guest. And all the female guests tend to start interviewing us.
Well, because they care. Guys don't care.
Maybe that's it.
People think that my name is Karen because I'm a Karen, but my name is Karen because I care.
Oh,
very well done. Karen with a K.
Are you ready for this?
I'm an appropriate name to Karen. Yeah.
This is the toughest question.
Coffee knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried our coffee?
Yes.
What do you think of it? And do you have any coffee knowledge questions for the RD department?
Ooh. Yes.
Researcher ready?
I take coffee seriously because I am a parent. I love your coffee. I love your coffee. We've tried a couple of different blends. And like I said, I had the birthday blend last year, which I think maybe for your 1-year anniversary, you have to put out I call it the birthday blend because it was a gift for my birthday.
the Karen birthday blend.
But next year for your 1-year anniversary in April, you should do a birthday blend. Just saying.
We might have some other things coming down the pipe before that too. So
Ooh, very nice. One of the things I learned from a guy named Michael Toronto, who always said put a little bit of cinnamon on the top of your coffee because it helps balance your blood sugar. So I always coat my coffee. I know your coffee tastes amazing alone, but with a little bit.
First of all, what's his number and his work schedule? Because we're gonna have to bust some kneecaps. You know what? We talk about that all the time. That we love. That's the awesome thing about coffee is that it's so individual and personal to each person. It's like I got my way that I like it, make it. Frank is Mr. He likes it black, right across the board all the time. Jill does it with coconut oil and does the bulletproof thing and protein powder. That's the second person, Frank? Somebody else.
There's a few people. And there's people that blend. They go, I love taking your sting and your light.
Yeah,
and
right.
They do a 50-50 blend or 75-25 blend. So they're creating.
I like the sting. I like a strong coffee that's going to punch me in the face a little bit and kick me in the butt.
You know that it has the least amount of caffeine in the dark.
Oh, actually, I remember Ed telling me that the most amount of caffeine is usually in the flavored coffee beans, like the hazelnuts, like just not yours, but like
your lighter roast.
Yes.
Because as you're roasting, you're burning off caffeine.
Yes.
Darker roasts, they taste stronger.
Yeah.
But they don't have as much caffeine. So your light roasts have the most caffeine. Roast out there for all the Karens.
Right.
That's what we call the Karen.
No, make it.
What would that be?
It would be, no, it would be a
What kind of
coffee.
roast would it be though?
Be a coffee that calms you down, because isn't it most Karens out there are the crazy people, right? So it needs to.
Yeah, I haven't followed this Karen thing. It's like I sort of got that. Can you enlighten us on just to get back to us?
I get tagged every once in a meme. I hope it's because I am not like this, so people think it's funny. But it's like the Karen is the, you know, the angry American white woman who goes into stores and demands things her way, and you know.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why? Why is that?
You're like, okay,
a Chatty
Karen.
Cathy thing? Like, you know how the Chatty Cathy term came about?
I think it's just probably a very generic name. Not that your name is generic, but you know, it's probably a common name in the East Coast.
Yeah, but you're pronounced Karen, so it's different.
So
Karen.
Yeah. The other thing with coffee is that most moms probably can relate to this. I still have half a cup of coffee here. I never drink a whole cup of warm coffee ever. So I usually have to microwave it to reheat it. But if you have a milk frother, I've learned that you can just put it in the milk frother and that will actually just warm up your coffee. And also I add my cold coffee to like a vanilla protein shake, and I get like a mocha shake or a hot protein.
Yeah.
What we do sometimes if we have leftover in the French press, like I've got some here, I'll throw this in a little small mason jar, you know, so it's not sealed, not preserved, so you can just use the old rubber seals. Throw it in the fridge, and when it's like, oh, I got some ice cream or something like that, or whatever I want to do, or a shake, I can make a little frappuccino out of it. Syrup or whatever. You know?
Something that I need you to do, please, is I need you to have some different size French presses and do a video being like, this is the like 8-ounce French press, this is the 10-ounce, this is the 12-ounce French press, and I'm going to show you exactly how much of our coffee you need to put in and how much water. And I know it's individual, but I mess up the French press so much. Like once you perfect it, it is perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's also to each their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might want an extra scoop or less. So that does come down to, like, if I like my coffee stronger than yours, then my 8-ounce French press might have
a tablespoon more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So
I may for the average, I think 8-ounce French press. This is an 8-ounce.
Yeah.
I may 4 to 4 heaping tablespoons, and I just do it by the mill. It fills to a certain point, and that I know is right now. I don't even actually measure. I go by, that's the eyeball now.
How are you grinding your coffee, Karen?
With like a little grinder.
But is it like a zing, 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 the top one?
Yeah.
Okay, for instance, like, so I have a hopper in my grinder. It's like so you can I set it to the number of that, like, so I go a 7. And that's every single day. It's the same exact thing. So I figured out what I like, and then I literally just, it helps because I don't have to think about it. Like I don't have to measure anything, and you know. Yeah.
The truth is, it's even on the side bag we have sort of measurements, and everyone that really knows coffee, that's sort of a basic guideline, and then you tweak it. So you are going to have to make 3 or 4 French presses till you find the one.
Right one, yeah.
Yeah, and I even had to test it on a drip coffee maker at my brother's at Christmas. We've been testing all our stuff on French press. I went, ooh, this is what we've settled on. How does this work on a drip maker? So I went to my brother's and I went, I don't even remember how to do a drip maker anymore. I haven't had a
right.
So he says, well, it's about this many with his whatever coffee that he's always bought. So I went in there. I know how to grind it a bit more fine than a French press. So that looks about. Yeah, I looked at the coffee that he was using. I said, okay, that's the right grind. Put it in there. We measured it in there. It came out fantastic. So I was like, okay, it almost tastes like the French press, you know, but just haven't come through the filter. So a little bit less oil.
I grinded yours very, very fine and did it like in one of those espresso, you know, the 2-part thingies, the metal. Yeah.
AeroPress? Or what are you talking?
Mocha pot?
It's like, I think it's like an espresso. It's like a very European
mocha
coffee.
pot. Yeah, a mocha pot.
Yeah.
Are you do that way? Is that what you're saying?
I did it once, yeah, that way.
You have a mocha pot at home?
Yeah. Like that's like the metal ones, right? It's
a little metal, the octagon-y thing or whatever you cook on your stove.
Yeah, you do it fine because espresso is a fine grind.
Yeah. Now, speaking of grinding, because there's other things that can be ground, Now, are you guys gonna hop on the hemp train and maybe do a blend of coffee infused with?
Not
Why
her.
would you suggest that?
I like to keep those. I like to drink while smoking it. So, funny. So the first when we first started this, our name was Wake and Bake.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember talking about that at all back in the day, Karen?
I remember you telling me about it.
Did
Yeah.
we bring it up to you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we wanted a brick and mortar, and we wanted the wake part to be the coffee, and the bake part to be the organic, fresh made baked goods, right? And so that's what we loved about the fact that we weren't involved with THC or CBD or anything like that. It was the play on the words. It was the comedy of it, you know.
Mhm.
And trust me, we've been asked many times. But when we've let go of the wake and bake thing for many other reasons and came up with the Morning Buzz, we still wanted that play on words. But all of a sudden the spectrum just went wider for our target market, because with wake and bake, even though we didn't, have infused products at all, you read that name and you just think, oh, they have to be weed products or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So our target market went like this,
Mhm.
narrowed right down to the amount of the people that were even going to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So Morning Buzz with the B, and it just makes it more friendly. It just widened our whole.
And they're, for good and for bad. I mean, honeybees have been in the news for quite a few years now, but because of the dwindling populations. And then, we had the murder hornets come in and, how they killed the honeybees. So it's always there. We don't push the side of the honeybee, but it's in our logo. And we have talked about with our roaster, because there are areas where coffee is grown and bees help increase the coffee yield. The coffee self-pollinating, but bees will help increase up to 30% of the coffee yield. So there are areas where some of the coffee's from, where they make honey. So the honey itself has, clover honey's got the clover.
Yeah.
Acacia honey has the acacia. This will be more to the cocoa plant. So you get a bit more, perhaps, coffee flavored honey. So there has been a talk about maybe getting somehow combining with that, maybe even getting a honey that we sell that's made from these things, or having, a one-off in the spring or something like that. Not a flavored coffee. It'd have to be something to do with real honey and stuff like that. I wouldn't want to put artificial flavor into it.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that, but I don't know if we're definitely not going to go into the CBD infused or THC stuff. That's not the market that we're looking at. But
that's smart.
There's so many fun things.
It's easy to brainstorm, but then the more you think it through, it's true. You want to be open to everybody, and you don't want anyone to think, no, that's not the company I want to work with. It would be beautiful though if you ever are doing any type of fundraising or giving back, if you find a way to give back to the bees in some way.
Yeah. We all of that is all part of our mission as well.
Yeah, our
What's
mission
your
statement
mission
is
statement?
Pollinator gardens. Grow flowers that help the bees.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. It's not, we don't wrap around the tree. We still believe that side of it, but it's not the.
And I mean, this summer, our plan, we had a whole completely different campaign on paper, ready to launch before all this went down. We had planned on opening the April 2nd. We had a table booked at the Toronto Coffee and Tea Expo for May 3rd and 4th. Well, that didn't happen. And then we were going to do these farmers markets in Dundas. We were going to, different events. We wanted to go help clean up the Red Valley, and then, but also get involved with these different, programs and charities, and including, with the pollinated gardens and stuff like that, whatever we could do to make those two worlds combined. But it all just kind of stopped, right?
Yeah.
So.
Everything changes, but I love that your purpose has always been to help other people, serve other people, and you will prosper, and you're just.
That's the musician in us.
Yeah.
We're the first people in any crisis that you see get together and raise money. Even in this case, who really got together,
right?
Still seem to be the first people and we got across the board from the bar players to the top of the field. Rock stars and pop stars, everybody was affected by COVID. There was nobody who was going to work. So, we're the first ones that seem, anytime there's a disaster, we seem to be the first that put
Mhm.
something together long before government or other organizations. So that's in our, I think, in our nature.
Yeah.
We just need to hope that people will go back to supporting the arts when they're allowed to go around other people, because we're the people that got them through in a lot of cases. I also think it's really smart, you guys as musicians, because I know it with me in my business, being an artist innately helps you so much. You have so many skills that help you being an entrepreneur, having that bubble butt to bounce back up when you get knocked down, hearing the no's, seeing the door slam in your face. Those are things that you experienced as musicians for years, and just knowing as well, you can't just pick up a guitar and say, I'm going to be like a star. You have to practice those like 10,000 hours. And
Oh, what?
what?
Practice?
What?
I'm going to show this video to all my students because I don't think any of them practice,
Practice. Let's just
including myself. I got to before that gig, before the first gig ever, I'm gonna have to put a month of practicing in because
Right?
Those guitars that are dusty behind you.
they look good.
They look good, but they're
I
close
hide
up.
mine behind me because I'm ashamed of how dirty it is.
Yeah.
Right?
But in isolation, Karen, we're going to give you 3 records, not songs, 3 records.
Oh,
You,
records.
Your Desert Island, Isolation Island record pick.
What's your Desert Island records? You get 3 of them.
You know what? Right now, I've been listening to a ton of The Greatest Showman right now because my kids love it, and I find the music really inspiring.
Would you take that to the desert?
Right now, I would, but for permanently, no. I mean, like the Beatles, like Yellow Submarine is like everything.
Right. That's one.
Queen, obviously, like the greatest hits. I love Queen, and always Journey is always like somewhere in my playlist. Like,
Oh, that's fast. You went like you dove in and like
She stopped at 3.
straight business.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to like they're 3 and we're about to cut in there. Oh, I also like this record here, and I'm going to pull this one over here. I'm like, well, dude, it's like 3. You know?
yeah. My
Follow the
husband,
rules,
She
though.
did say 4.
You just,
She is on her 4th one, but whatever.
yeah, I did say 4, but Greatest Showman's just to fill my cup right now. But like all-time favorites are those 3, and I love that I'm actually influencing. My kids know a ton of Beatles songs. They know a ton of Queen. Like when my son wanted to do karaoke last summer, he got up and started to sing like "We'll Rock You." He was 8 at the time, and like stomping his feet and clapping his hands and getting the audience going. But my husband, unfortunately, you might think it's fortunately, but he's been polluting his head with an awful lot of Oasis. Sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Sorry, not sorry.
oh,
I'm a
right.
fan,
Where's that off button?
Oasis, that's that place on a desert where you can go to, right?
right?
Where it's Oasis is in that pile of Nickelback somewhere.
Right? Yeah, don't hold that against my husband. But yeah.
No, never. Someone's got to like those bands because they're
Right?
selling bands. You know?
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay.
I'm
What is it?
speechless. Daniel, son,
Right?
you need to talk.
But he did. Jacob did ask me the other day. He said, "What's the greatest song written of all time?" And I said, "I'll play it for you." And especially, I think it's important. Imagine, I think, is the greatest song written of all time.
And he just destroyed everything that you just said. He destroyed it with that. Next, he's going to play Brown Eyed Girl.
I could sing the words to any Oasis song by just going.
Yeah. I did it in the wrong key there. It was like I didn't have a capo, so it's, oh, Lord.
Frank, thank you for that. That was very nice. That was nice. Thanks, Belle. Anyway,
Now we got to pay royalties to Oasis. Great.
Right?
boop, beep. It'll be like a 2.5-minute segment of beep. Yeah. What's next, Karen?
What's next?
What's next for you?
Like in life, in my day to day.
Talk to us.
Right now, my kids have been playing video games for an hour and a half, so I'm gonna have to rip that Band-Aid off. They're gonna probably give it a punch. But I'm so grateful this whole summer. I'm so grateful. We have a nice property with a pool.
Yeah.
So all
Nice
summer.
deck.
Yeah, nice. Daniel built that deck. He built the pergola. That's what he did he took a paternity leave when Marcus was born, and he was like Jesus walking across the backyard carrying the wood. Built the pergola, built everything.
Amazing.
Yeah, and when Portuguese, they like to build with their hands. So we're just going to spend an awful lot of time connecting as a family. And I also have made it my mission to leave as many voice memos for my friends instead of text messages, so we can hear each other's voices. And
Well,
the
I haven't
second,
got one yet, but whatever. Anyway,
oh, is it? I can hug you.
So who
I
do we
want-
got next week, Ed? Who do we got next week on Coffee Hang?
yeah. Anyway, let's talk about that next guest.
Who is your next guest? I want to know. Not allowed to talk about it.
Well, we don't even know.
Because
Where can we find you? Where would you like people to be able to go to check out the awesomeness of Karen Coughlin? Tell me.
Karen_Coughlin_Mellow. That's where they can find me on Instagram.
Instagram, okay.
Instagram's the easiest, yeah. Through you, they can always find me through you, but Instagram's usually the easiest way to find me, or Facebook, but Instagram's usually the easiest.
Okay. It's Frank, never one pointer. There's the Instagram link. Okay, what else? What else you got for us? Do you have what about Arbonne? What happens if somebody wants to order some Arbonne stuff from you, because it is awesome?
Yeah, message me. Just reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll hook you up.
Okay.
Put that on your hands.
I always keep my Arbonne with me. It's very important stuff.
Look what I have right here. You should be like an endorser for these little sticks.
I have them upstairs. You know what? I love them. I just don't.
Oh,
I love water. I love water without flavor in it. So I constantly drinking water. But those things are amazing. Those little energy things. They work like boom, like that, and a different vibe than a coffee. Like
Because
they
it's
don't
green
give you.
tea.
Huh?
It's green tea caffeine.
It gives you a different buzz. Eh? It's not a. It's
not a morning buzz.
I like it.
No, it's an afternoon buzz.
Afternoon buzz. Which is
Well, I'm about to get on an afternoon buzz right away. But
And I do want to say as well, like you did mention if anybody wants to order any products to message me, but more than anything, I do know, especially artists, but there's so many people who have been laid off or surplus or whatever. If anybody's looking, doesn't have the the means or whatever to start up a brick and mortar business like you guys have built, or an online business like you have built, if they want to take a look at something like being a brand ambassador with Arbonne, please reach out to me. Like,
well,
I know
I'll call you at the end of July when my benefit runs out. We'll talk about that and we'll get that ball rolling.
Yeah. I like selling product, but I love helping people start their online businesses.
Yeah.
You are amazing. And I mean it. Like I've known you for a long time now, and not once have you've never been different than the way you are right now. Now, that being said, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when your kids piss you off, because I know from stories that you don't take any beep. Like
No.
I would love to see that side of
The
Karen.
Maritimer comes out of me. It's like that. Yeah. It's like when I used to drink, you used to get one of two things. You either got, "You're my best friend," or "You want to know what all your problems are." That's why I like champagne. Champagne makes the bubbles make me happy. If you give me dark rum, it's a dark experience.
Darkness comes out. Yeah, the sailor in you comes out. Yeah.
Yes.
Those R's get much harder.
Yes.
So,
I love talking to you guys.
oh, what an awesome
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming on. This has been awesome. So, just to
Aaron,
recap,
thank you.
can you please say that again, where people can find you on Instagram, just in case that last segment
Gets
Just-
cut. Yes. So find me on Instagram, Karen_Coughlin_Mellow. The way you spell Coughlin is like the word cough, Lin, COUGHLIN_Mellow.
that's not going to be good for you.
What?
Your name.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like,
Yeah. My mom said to me the other day, what did she say? She said, this is supposed to be a joke. I used to cough to hide a fart, and now I fart to hide a cough.
But Mellow is your husband's.
Yeah, Portuguese. And
Any relationship to Brian of Hamilton?
No, it's not, but they're all somehow related. They're from the Azores, actually, his family.
No fala Portuguese.
Yeah.
I don't speak. You speak Portuguese?
Okay, listen, Karen,
Obrigada.
coming.
Obrigada, Portuguese cerveja. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're
Caçubanho.
talking more about cruise ship stuff, but now in Portuguese. Like, what's happening?
Right?
Are you happy?
I'm happy.
Have a amazing anniversary.
Aw, thanks.
Congratulations.
Great. One that you're gonna have in your backyard.
Yeah.
Unless you go on the cruise ship. When is your anniversary? Is it?
It's actually June 5th, so it will be past.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be passed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Is there a?
you know what I actually asked for my gift? Do you wanna know? This is romantic. I'll tell you what I got him. He's already opened it and you might have seen the pictures. I got him a pressure washer. So sexy. What I have asked for my 10-year anniversary is a Roomba motorized vacuum / mopper. So sexy.
Are you throwing this out there because you want us to contact Daniel and like?
No, I've already sent him the link of exactly what I want. I just wanted to inspire people with the romance that happens at 10 years, like a pressure washer and a vacuum. Those are some sexy gifts.
I think for my 10-year anniversary, I got a high five.
I told him the amount that I am parenting right now, I deserve to be just flooded with presents. Like, please just give me presents.
Can we cut her off now because it's a bad precedence?
It's like Jill's gonna watch this, and I'm in trouble.
I'm hitting like I got 26 coming up this year. I was 25.
Wow.
We went camping.
Oh,
2 of us went camping.
that's
The
awesome.
cheapest 25th anniversary I think anyone's ever gone through. Tent camping.
I love that. You don't need much of anything.
No, we just each other, and the first night was a wet soaking tent.
Oh,
So we survived to see 26. So I think I just got the lucky lottery on that one. So, anyways, Karen, wonderful to chat with you, to meet you finally, and eventually we'll meet in person and say hello
And we should do this again, right, Frank? In person.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna review everybody that we've done a Zoom coffee hang with. We're gonna want to actually sit down.
Yeah.
awesome. I'll just hug you guys nonstop.
Well, you can do the interview for us if you don't mind.
Yes, I love
In
that.
person. We'll do the in-person one on the East Coast.
Yes.
Yes.
The motorhome.
Yes.
That abattoir when I'm playing guitar in it.
That would be hilarious if we did it in your motorhome, even if it was parked in your driveway.
Yes.
In the motorhome.
Have a green screen with like trees going past constantly. Yeah. The same 4 trees every 5 seconds.
We'll just get Daniel to drive it down the road. And like, you're allowed to also drink. Well, we do drinking coffee, but we could put something in the coffee, right?
No.
Like weed? Is that
No,
what we're
like
talking about?
Baileys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out. I gotta check out there.
No, it was Bailey's.
I just want to see it add with some sort of alcohol.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll have the Bailey's flavored cream is what I need.
Do they do an NA Bailey's? That'd be all right, wouldn't it?
That's just
Oh,
it's-
an international
or
delight.
whatever the cream is that makes Bailey's. You can do that on your own.
Karen, love you and love who you are as a human being. Please keep it up. We need more
Love
people
you.
like you in this world.
I can't remember what I'm going up, right? Clang.
Let's try to clink together here. The old
I go up.
Tang.
Yes. Clang. There we go.
Love you. Mwah.
Cheers.
Take care,
Thank
buddy.
you so much.
Bye.
Adios.
Ciao. She gone yet?
I like it when they get the hint, eh? When you're just like, okay, bye, nice to have you. Yeah, it was great. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
See you later. Okay, bye.
It's like that Toy Story. If you go to the trailers, thank you like for flying the airline. Are they gone yet? Are they all off? Are they finished? Oh, I should still smile here. Anyways, folks, there's another episode in the can of Coffee Hang with Mornin Buzz Coffee Company.
Brought to you
Karen
today
Coughlin.
by, well, first it was Apple because you got your Apple going, and then it was brought to you by Arbonne.
I just need a new computer, so I'm trying to throw Apple out there every time we can. If they hear it, hey, we should just... Brought to you by, it's a Morning Buzz Coffee production.
Everybody, eh?
Oh!